Our opening words are from Terry Tempest Williams, entitled Refuge. The eyes of the future are looking back at us. They are praying for us to see beyond our own time. They are kneeling with hands clasped, asking that we act with restraint, asking that we leave room for the life that is destined to come. To protect what is wild is to protect what is gentle. Perhaps the wildness that we fear is the pause between our own heartbeats, the silent space that says, we live only by grace. Welcome. My name is Effie Brown, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Whidbey Island. Isn't that a mouthful? We welcome both those of you who are in the sanctuary with us this morning and also those of you who are joining us by Zoom. Whether you are a founding member or this is your first time visit with us, you are very welcome here. We're happy to once again welcome Reverend Amanda Aikman to our pulpit and are curious to hear about the Flat Earth Society. We also want to express our appreciation to Eileen for her music this morning and to the many people who contribute to the life of our congregation. Those who work behind the scenes in so many ways, who serve on our committees, who care for our building and grounds, and for each of you who are present with us today. Since I was a young child, I have been enchanted by the night sky, especially that great river of stars that is the Milky Way. As an adult, I was amazed to read the Gaia hypothesis that Earth is a living being. Her name is Gaia, and we are only one of her many children, we humans. Hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth, expresses some of that awe and wonder. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing. As we light our chalice today with these words from Lynn Unger. The universe does not revolve around you. The stars and planets spinning in the ballroom of space dance with one another quite outside your small life. You cannot hold gravity or seasons. Even air and water inevitably evade your grasp. You could move through time like a shark through water, neither restless nor ceasing, absorbed in and being absorbed by the nature element. Why do you pretend to do otherwise? The world comes in at every pore, mixes in your blood before breath releases you into the world again. Did you think the fragile boundary of your skin could build a wall? Listen, every molecule is humming its particular pitch. Of course you are a symphony. Whose tune do you think the planets are singing as they dance? Please rise in body or spirit and join in our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its practice. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. Sometimes our inner wisdom speaks to us in meditation and prayer. I invite you now into a time of quiet reflection on the joys that light up your life and the sorrows that weigh on your spirits. What comes to your mind when I say sorrow? Sorrow. Perhaps pain in body or mind, a broken relationship, racial injustice and prejudice. What brings you sorrow? What comes to your mind when I say joy? Joy. Perhaps a special loved one in your life, the laughter of a child, your favorite walk with your dog. What brings you joy? Spirit of life, we lift up every joy, every gladness. We hold up every hurt and every sadness. We lift up every blessing, every gratitude. And we hold with compassion all of those feelings that remain in our hearts. May our feelings of gratitude for all that we receive from this congregation prompt our generosity through our financial offerings. All gifts are important, for it is together that we are strong enough and wealthy enough and wise enough to make this community thrive and grow. The ushers will now pass the baskets as we enjoy music from Eileen. Thank you. We thank you. We thank you for your generosity. And now I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple." And we're going to sing it twice.
Simple. Morning, everybody. I was expecting a low turnout today because of the snow. What do you call it when it's sort of in between? There's a funny word. Sludge. Anyway, glad to be here, and I'm very grateful to Mary, who picked me up at the ferry and brought me here this morning. This is from the flatearthsociety.org website. They have a question and answer page. So one of the questions was, what evidence do you have that the Earth is flat? The evidence for a flat Earth is derived from many different facets of science and philosophy. The simplest is by relying on one's own senses to discern the true nature of the world around us. The world looks flat. The bottoms of clouds are flat. The movement of the sun. These are all examples of your senses telling you that we do not live on a spherical, heliocentric world. This is using what's called an empirical approach, or an approach that relies on information from your senses. And the second reading is from The Second Coming by William Butler Yeats. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. So end the readings. I'm hearing a bit of an echo kind of thing. Anybody else hearing that? No? Okay, we'll just go on then. Not all that long ago, Unitarian prophets saw progress as inevitable. In 1885, the highly influential Unitarian minister James Freeman Clarke outlined his 5 points of the new theology, which summarized commonly held Unitarian beliefs of his era. The fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the leadership of Jesus, salvation by character, and the continuity of human development in all worlds, or the progress of mankind onward and upward forever. Stirring, right? These 5 points were virtually a faith statement for modern liberal theology and were bold and radical for their time. For instance, you notice the leadership of Jesus, showing that they believed in Jesus as a regular human person. So the progress of mankind onward and upward forever. This is why the 1880s are my favorite historic period. It was an era of relative world peace, Technology, medicine, and science had brought unprecedented ease and health to the world, and there were exciting liberation movements afoot. More than anything, for prosperous Westerners at least, it was a tremendously optimistic time. No wonder Clark and other liberals believed that the future of humanity was an unstoppable upwards trajectory. Elsewhere in his sermon, Clark refers to the insights of geology and the theory of evolution as evidence that God's purpose for the world was unceasing progress. He said, "If hope abides, there is always something to look forward to, some higher attainment, some larger usefulness, some nearer communion with God. The one fact which is written on nature and human life is the fact of progress, and this must be accepted as the purpose of the Creator." Well, here we are, 139 years later, and it is a confusing time, isn't it? A good time to ask how things are going in the onward and upward department. A good time to look at the notion of progress. Ladies and gentlemen, I offer for your consideration the Flat Earth Society. Once the domain of a handful of crackpots, the Flat Earth Society has, like creationism, enjoyed a healthy revival, thanks largely to the internet. While it's hard to know how many adherents of the society are sincere and how many are ironic, we do at least know that they're big enough to have a pretty nice website, a whole lot of impressive videos, and they hold gatherings. They had a convention in Denver in 2018 with 600 attendees, very healthy. And they produce these amazing videos proving their point that the spherical Earth is an elaborate conspiracy, and that only flat earthers know the truth. A true believer and daredevil named Mike Hughes wanted to prove to himself that the Earth was not spherical. He made, I love this, he made several steam-powered rockets to take him up high for a good view. He didn't trust any of the pictures from NASA, any of that stuff. He wanted to go up there and see for himself. In 2016, he fired himself up into near space, 1,875 feet above the Mojave Desert, for about a minute, and then came down rather rapidly. His descent was slowed somewhat by a parachute attached to the rocket. He had a very hard landing, but miraculously did not sustain a major injury. Evidently, he had not reached a high enough point to prove to his own satisfaction that the Earth is shaped like a frisbee. He tried again in February 2020. This time, the parachute did not deploy, with a fatal result. Mike's dedication, hard work, and courage shows just how deeply convinced many flat earthers are. This is not a casual weekend hobby for them. Alan Burdick, the New York Times science editor, attended that Denver convention, and I think the interview he did with one attendee says so much about the yearnings of the heart that are common to many of us. He wrote, "The reward is existential solace. This, I came to understand, was the real draw. The thing that could make, say, an unemployed clerical worker drive 12 hours alone from Michigan to Raleigh. To believe in a flat earth is to belong not only to a human community, but to sit once again at the center of the cosmos. The standard facts of astronomy are emotionally untenable. A planet spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, a mote in a galaxy of unimaginable scale, itself a mote in the vast and expanding universe." The attendee said, "That to me is a huge problem. You are a created individual, This is a created place. It's not an accident. It's not an explosion in space. It's not random molecules joining together. Well, in case you have spent your lifetime in the darkest ignorance, believing the globe. Do we have a globe? Oh, I thought we were going to have a globe. No globe. Okay, well, you know what a globe looks like. Believing the globe to be an accurate model of the reality of our planet, and are wondering how the flat Earth works. I have made a startlingly accurate model to show you. First, let me just ask you, because I didn't know the answer to this, how long ago did humans first proclaim that the Earth is spherical? Did it have to wait until humans ventured into space and took pictures of Earth? Did Columbus know? Greek mathematicians figured it out 2,000 years ago. But never mind all that. The modern flat earthers want to set you straight and dispel your pitiful illusion. Would you like to see the model? This is so beautiful, you're just going to be stunned. Ooh, this. You know, we could even pass it around if you wanted to, if you want to touch it. This picture is taken right off the FES website. Their insight is that Antarctica is a wall, a ring of ice that holds in the oceans. The sun and the moon are not huge and distant, but small and close. They operate like spotlights, casting light in circular pathways that give us seasons. Gravity does not exist. You want to know what's holding us all in place? Well, you know what happens when you get in your car and accelerates? You get pushed back in your seat, right? Well, this disk on which we live is in fact accelerating upwards through space at a tremendous rate and holding everything onto the surface. The rumbling sound you hear is poor old James Freeman Clarke rotating in his grave. I'll tell you what, I'll leave it here and you can touch it later if you want to. Far from believing that the progress of humanity onward and upward forever is inevitable, some days I wonder if it's even possible. When Yeats wrote The Second Coming in 1919, the Western world had just emerged from the greatest upheaval in centuries, the Great War of 1914 to 1918. Social relationships, the old authorities such as empire and religion were all in a state of unprecedented chaos. To Yeats, it seemed to be a state of being that had been foretold by the Bible. The usual order of things was not working. It had broken down. The falconer goes out with his falcon to hunt. The falcon spirals higher and higher, but it goes so far astray that it can no longer hear the voice of the falconer. It's a terrifying vision, a vision of chaos and the loss of a center to human life. In such a short time after James Freeman Clarke's confident vision of progress. When flat earthers are asked why they believe the earth is flat, they say that their own common sense, the evidence of their senses, has proven it to be true to their satisfaction. And that is enough for them. Photos of the Earth taken from space, fake, all of them. The moon landing, staged in a studio with actors on wires. All the work of a vast conspiracy to keep the truth from us. For what reason is unclear. Why the Earth's scientists would conspire in such a way for decades without ever once anybody leaking the truth is pretty hard to believe, but there you go. Cagey devils, those scientists, aren't they? stealing NASA's funds from the taxpayer in order to put it in their own pockets, which is hilarious if you actually know any scientists and know how old the cars that they drive are. The flat Earth conspiracy theory is a bit unusual in that it does not relate to a specific event or phenomenon, but in its conviction that an elite is trying to hide crucial, real information from the rest of us, it's fairly typical. Most conspiracy theories come about, I believe, as a result of feelings of powerlessness and the loss of privileges. These theories tend to proliferate in times of chaos and rapid change, or in the wake of huge, unexpected events that are hard to take in. I know in my lifetime there have been a few events of that magnitude, events that left me reeling in disbelief for months as my brain stretched and tried to take it all in. And they have all given birth to conspiracy theories. The moon landing was the first one that I remember. At 16, having read a massive amount of science fiction, I understood the technology well enough to comprehend the incredible feat of engineering that had put our guys on the moon. I understood it. I watched those incredible TV broadcasts from the moon landing, and I believed it, but I also couldn't believe it. The emotions accompanying this amazing event overwhelmed my rational capacity to absorb it. I think it took about 2 years for me to get over my awe and disbelief and finally be able to look up at the moon and accept the fact that humans had walked there. Anybody else remember having that kind of disbelief? I'm not at all surprised that some people thought the moon landing was fake. Other events, shocking events in the lifetimes of people in this room have probably evoked the same level of disbelief and mental struggle. Events where a whole worldview was shaken and upset, sometimes in a matter of moments. 11 men with box cutters changed our whole world on 9/11. How could that be? It must have been an inside job, or maybe it didn't really happen. Our amazing brains, which evolved to look for causes of harmful events so that we could learn from and avoid them in the future, our amazing brains are overwhelmed by the emotions arising from a massive, change-evoking event. And instead of patiently waiting for all the information and feelings to sift out, our distress may be such that we run around looking for hidden patterns and meanings behind these events. When this search for larger meanings and patterns is joined with a feeling of powerlessness and alienation from sources of authority, such as the government, science, the media, conspiracy theories are born. When these theories are ignited by people who have a burning desire to be seen as important because they have inside secret knowledge, and when fuel is put on the fire by the intensifying effect of the internet, the conspiracy theories flare up and threaten to overwhelm our culture's capacity for rational thought. As a little aside, I don't know if this is true of all ministers, but for a while, I was the recipient of lots of conspiracy theories, a coffee hour largely, when I worked in Marysville. And I don't know, JFK, it was just a lot. And once I successfully came up with a solution to how to not have to be polite to these conspiracy theory guys. And I said, oh, I have somebody you have to meet. And I introduced two of them to each other, and and I walked away. So we can look at the Flat Earth Society's theories as fairly benign. After all, there aren't many people who subscribe to them, and they're not scapegoating some powerless minority group. Most people find their theories funny. In fact, the very first question on their website's frequently asked questions page is, "Are you serious?" We laugh, but the relative success of the Flat Earth Society and its growing membership and visibility shows us several very real dangers. When asked why they believe the Earth is flat, the first thing the believers say is that they trust the evidence of their senses. The Earth seems flat to me, so it must therefore be flat. This reveals a truly distressing lack of trust in science, for one thing, as well as a massive failure of our schools to teach critical thinking. But because the urge for confirmation is so powerful, and you'll recognize this if you've ever had a kind of unpopular belief or something seems fishy to you, we may go looking for others who believe the same thing. And the internet is happy to oblige. A major threat to rational discourse, also fed by the media and the internet, is a disparagement of education and expertise. The equal time rule, which was instituted in 1927, specifies that U.S. radio and television broadcasts must, when they give or sell time to a political candidate, they must provide an equivalent opportunity to any opposing candidates who request it. This benign idea has grown into the toxic idea that everyone's ideas are of equal importance. It gives priority to feelings over educated, rational thought. So somebody's finding that the Earth is flat, I am not making this up, because they took a ruler to the beach and held it up to the horizon, detecting no curvature. That is elevated to a level of authority equivalent to that of trained astronomers and the photographic evidence from hundreds of space journeys. Sadly, many of our fellow Americans, and I'm not going to name them, are actively hostile to science and to education. Denigrating and devaluing science is of enormous benefit to those who profit from fossil fuels and from an easily persuaded populace. And these stances hasten our precipitous dash toward the time when the United States will no longer be the preeminent power in the world. Already, Germany is more respected on the world stage. China has taken the lead in renewable energy. More than 1 in 5 American scientists, underfunded and discouraged, is considering a move overseas. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe our world would be better off if the United States took a back seat, and maybe it would be more relaxing. 130 years ago, the British Empire looked unshakable too. And of course, it goes without saying, hostility towards science in the halls of power hastens our journey towards the catastrophe of irreversible global warming. As we see science being attacked and diminished not only by populist politicians, but also by the efforts of conservative religion and by the deep-seated suspicion of education that has pervaded our country's history since the beginning, as we see science being attacked, James Freeman Clarke's faith in the inevitable progress of humankind may look a bit ragged. Our Unitarian faith in the essential goodness of the world and the perfectibility of mankind may look naive and hopeless. We fear that the falcon will never again be able to hear the falconer. But I think we can find hope, even in conspiracy theories as knuckle-headed as the Flat Earth Society. And that is that no matter how preposterous most conspiracy theories are, they reveal a deep human hunger for myth and mystery, and above all, for meaning. I believe that we should actively, aggressively support science and science education. We should ask all candidates for elected office what they believe about science and the importance of science education. We should stop enabling ignorance by giving it equal time in our media, our schools, our legislatures, and our heads. We should speak out against religious ideas that challenge science if we see harm in those religious ideas. And we should make every effort, folks, to make it known that the UU Church, among others, offers a rich sense of meaning and dignity without requiring a belief in an omnipotent God or in the centrality of humankind. And we should lovingly and firmly challenge conspiracy theories, whether from the left or right or outer space, when we hear them voiced. We need to be especially alert to left-wing conspiracies, my brothers and sisters. I know I have fallen for many of these, temporarily at least, especially during the especially tumultuous months following the inauguration of Donald Trump. To quote the New Republic, conspiracists fundamentally believe that malevolent order is preferable to chaos. A good question to ask when we're in conversation with someone who is in the grip of a conspiracy theory might be, what are you hoping to accomplish by proclaiming this belief? You should say it with a straight face. I can't do that, but everybody deserves to be taken seriously. I suspect that if we dig deeply enough, we will find loneliness, fear, and pain, and a desperate need to matter and be heard, as well as that all too universal human need, the need for healing, acceptance, and love. Surely we can give love to the person while firmly and actively questioning the belief. As Unitarian Universalists with our flaming chalice that symbolizes freedom of thought and reason in religion, we must not support and maintain the false dichotomy of science versus religion. Instead, we should be conscious of the fact that our faith, along with other liberal religions, supports the explorations of science and our human need for myth, mystery, and meaning. They are not mutually exclusive. It may be only through the lifting up and celebration of both aspects of human experience, the rational and the mystical, that our precious world can be saved. And that would be the most wonderful evidence of progress imaginable. But to conclude, just a little bit of practical information, just in case you ever do meet a flat earther. Here is some incontrovertible evidence, thanks to Neil deGrasse Tyson, that you can present to totally deflate their theory. You ready? Might want to take notes. We know the Earth isn't flat, because if it were, by now, cats would have pushed everything off the edge. May you be richly blessed. Please join in hymn number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. Effie is extinguishing our chalice, and she's chosen these words by the great Buddhist visionary Joanna Macy, who I was lucky enough to have as a teacher in seminary. The biggest gift you can give is to be absolutely present. When you're worrying about whether you're hopeful or hopeless or pessimistic or optimistic, who cares? The main thing is that you're showing up, that you're here, and that you're finding ever more capacity to love this world, because it will not be healed without that. Loving this world will unleash our intelligence and our ingenuity and our solidarity for the healing of our world and of ourselves.